session have listening and writing. So today we're going to discuss the first section, which is about the language comprehension and the reading comprehension. Tomorrow, inshallah, we're going to discuss the other session, which is about listening and writing. Okay? As usual, we are going to discuss the questions based on your answers. Okay? So let's start with question number 1. Of course, in this section here, they are telling us that which of the following sentences best expresses the meaning in the given sentence. Now, if we look at the first one, and remember, we need to do the analysis. We need to break down the sentence into its parts, and that will help us get the right answer. Up to a short time ago, so until just a short time ago, it was believed that there was little life in the deep sea. And here, look, we have the asterisk, because this asterisk means that there's an explanation here. What is the deep sea? It's the lowest part, the lowest layer of the ocean. And that's below 1,800 meters in depth. So just up to a short time ago, what did people believe? They believed that there is just little life in the deep sea, which is again the lowest layer of the ocean. And the deep sea, which is the lowest layer of the ocean, it covers more than half the world's surface. Okay, that's the sentence. And we did the analysis and we highlighted the keywords. Always know what to highlight, what to focus on. That's what's going to get you the right answer. So if you look at A, until recently, what does it mean? A short time ago. And up to is the same as until. So don't expect the right answer to give you all the same words. They're going to change the words, but they give you synonyms, similar meanings. The deep sea, an area including over half the earth, and yet, yes, that's here. Look, here we have more than, here we have over, and they have the same meaning. Half the world's surface, here they just said half the earth. But everything so far is the same. Was thought is just another word for it was believed. To have a limited number of creatures, limited number is the same as little. Creatures are the living things, which is life. So A is the best answer. Okay? That's what you need to do. You need to read the sentence. You need to highlight the keywords. What's happening? Okay. So you need to focus on the keywords: little life, deep sea, more than half the world's surface. And here you have, we said recently, over half the earth, limited number, creatures. So A is the right answer. Okay? If you look, for example, at the other answers, of course, they are all wrong. For example, B, even recently, the deep sea was said to have conditions unable to support any kind of life, and that's wrong. There was a recent claim. So they said recently that a few creatures traveled. We're not talking about, creatures that are traveling or spreading. So C is wrong. In short, here, because they took it from a short time ago, but here in short, it means in summary. But we're not summarizing. The lack of species in the deep sea, it means not having species in the deep sea was said to stem from, it comes from the harsh conditions. So we don't have creatures because the conditions there are hard for life. And again, that's not what we are saying. So A is the best answer. Does that make sense, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Question number 2, we have no problem. Both of you got the right answer, which is D. Is that correct? Is that what you chose?
I think so, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so number 2, the answer is D. We have no problem. Question number 3, let's analyze it. So look, deep sea species. So now we know what deep sea is. Are slow growing. So the species that live in the deep sea, how do they grow? Slowly. And they are low in reproductive capacity. So even for the reproduction, they are, slow, and they have low rates. Yet Yet, what does it mean? But they tend to have very long life, even up to 150 years. That's why we have but. So the relationship between the two parts of the sentence is contrast. The first part, which is, can be considered kind of negative. They grow slowly and they are low in their reproductive capacity. So these 2 points are negative. But then we have yet, that shows us the contrast, because we have a positive point, which is that they have very, long lifespans, up to 150 years. When we have this understanding of the 2 parts of the sentence, let's check the answers that we have. You look at A, while. While means bainama. And we choose it also, what kind of meaning does it give us? It gives us the meaning of contrast. So here, while is working just like yet. While deep sea species both grow slowly, and that's slow growing, and unable to produce quickly, look low in reproductive capacity, they can have an extended is a synonym for very long, lifespan up to 150 years. That's it. The answer is A. It gives us the exact same meaning, despite the fact, again, they change the structure. They change the way they connect the different parts of the sentence, but at the end, they give you the same meaning. Now, if we go to question number 4, we have no problem. Both of you chose B, which is the right answer. Now, we move to question number 5. Here we have a kind of problem. We need to check our answers because the question is actually tricky. Let's see here. Hiking may not seem intense. Intense, what does it mean? Tiring. It has many different meanings. But here in this specific way, it means hard, difficult, tiring. So it may not seem difficult, it may not seem hard, it may not seem intense. Why? Because here we have since means because it appears to be just walking. Like if you think about hiking, it appears to us it's just walking, and that's why we don't think it's difficult. But we have contrast. It can be exhausting. Exhausting means very tiring. Over a period of time. If you do it for a long time, if you do it over a period of time, actually you're going to see that it's very tiring. So here, not intense, but exhausting over a period of time. These are my keywords. Let's look at A. Hiking only consists of walking for some time, but it's very tiring for people who do it infrequently. Of course, A is wrong. Because first of all, hiking only consists of walking for some time. This is the definition, but we don't have the definition in the original sentence. But it's very tiring. Yes, it is very tiring, but they said for people who do it infrequently, which means not regularly, not repeatedly. But no, here we are talking about people who do it over a period of time, which means frequently. So for these 2 reasons, this part and this part, the answer A is wrong. But what about B? If you are looking for an easier workout, consider hiking. So here they are telling us that hiking is an easier workout, which only exhausts you if you do it for too much time. That's wrong. We cannot say that hiking is easy, but it exhausts you only if you do it for too much time. That's not the original sentence or what it tells us. C, despite. Despite, again, it means على الرغم من. So it shows us, again, contrast. Despite appearing to be a gentle activity, so gentle, look, when you said it appears gentle, because it may not seem intense, it appears just walking. So the first part is okay. Just involve walking, as mentioned here. Hiking may really tire you. Exhausting. And tire is a little bit, as a word, it has a milder meaning. But because of that, they added really tire you to make it stronger. Because when you say I'm tired, it's different than when you say I'm exhausted. Exhausted is a very strong word. So here they cannot just say tired, so they added really tire you to give you the same degree of meaning. If you do it for a long time, over a period of time, so of course I'm talking about C, that's the right answer. C is the best answer here. So it may not seem intense, it appears just to be walking. So we have the first part, despite appearing to be a gentle activity just involving walking. And then they said in the original sentence, but it can be exhausting over a period of time. That's the same when you say hiking may really tire you if you do it for a long time. So the best answer for question number 5 is C. 6. Now 6 is a very tricky one. And I'm going to tell you what the focus here is on. It's about modal verbs that we talked about before. Must, should, could, have to. So here they are saying you don't have to, never have to, right? And here you need to. What is the modal verb in A? It's ought not to, which means should not. Because we said ought to means should. Here we have ought not to, it means should not. And that's the main point here. Because look, in the sentence number 6, children must not be made to carry more than 20% of their body weight while hiking. Must not be made to. When you are made to do something, it means you don't want to, but you are forced to. Okay? So here they are telling us children cannot be forced to carry more than 20% of their body weight while hiking. And then they gave us an example. They said, so if we have a child who's 25 kilos, this child should carry a backpack that weighs maximum 5 kilos. That's, of course, because 5 is the 20% of 25 type. So when you look at A, they started with the example actually. A 25 kilo child certainly ought not be forced, should not be forced. Forced, made. Ought not to, must not, should not. Carry over 5 kilos because 5 kilos is the maximum. That is, and they are explaining, 20% of their body weight. When is that? When hiking. So A is the best answer. But why? We have B, we have C, we have also D. They have similar meanings. I'm going to tell you about the differences. B, look, they are telling us you don't have to ask kids to carry a backpack. Now they changed the whole meaning. They are telling us it's not necessary for you to ask kids to do that. No, that's not the same meaning. And that's why I said, please, you should know the difference between must and have to in the positive and in the negative, because we said in the positive, must means personal obligation. You feel that you should do that, but it's something personal. You feel that. Have to, it's something, you are forced to do. In the negative points or in the negative situation, we said there's a big difference because must not means cannot, not allowed, forbidden. But don't have to, it means not necessary. You can do it, but it's not necessary. That's the main difference between must not and the negative of have to. So you have to be careful about that, and B is wrong. So what about C? Kids never have to carry more than 1/5. Again, they used never have to. So it's similar to what we have in B. It's wrong. It's unhealthy for children 25 kilos or under to carry backpacks. That's not what we said. We didn't say that if we have children who are 25 kilos or under that, it's unhealthy to carry backpacks. That's something totally different, right? And you especially need to avoid giving them more than 25% of their weight. The second part is good, but the first part changes the whole thing. So D is wrong as well. And for 6, as we said, the answer is A. So even when they give you the same information, like in B, we have 5 kilos, 20%. In C, they said 5 kilos for 25 kilo child. In D, they said 25%. So they are using the numbers, but here the focus was on the modal verbs. And the modal verbs can change the whole meaning of the sentence. So A is the best answer for number 6. Does that make sense? Is it clear? You have any
Yes.
questions?
No.
Now, if we move to question number 7, it's okay. You both got the right answer, which is B. So again, why are we discussing these questions? And how can this help us improve? It's basically just, if there is a new word, I'm telling you what it means. I'm telling you about the techniques and strategies, how we analyze the sentence and how we can make sure that this is the right answer. Number 3, which is the most important thing, you are taking notes. These notes will help you remember what made you choose the wrong answer and how that the other one was the right answer. So learn the new words, knowing the techniques and strategies, taking notes. If you do these 3 things, for sure you will improve and you will do better, inshallah, in the next practice test that we will do together and when you do the university official test. So keep that in mind, please. Now we move to number 8. Again, number 8 is tricky. Why? Because here we have 31 satellites and we have 6 satellites, you know, at any given time. So they are using these numbers in every sentence. Look, 31, 6, 6, 31, 6, 31, 6, 31. So it's not actually just about focusing on the numbers. It's about the meaning itself and how it can be changed using different words. So let's see. All right. So now let's look at question number 8. The original sentence says the GPS, the global positioning system, you can just highlight GPS, consists of, what does it mean consists of? Can you tell me?
يتكون من.
Thank you. يحتوي على, يتألف من, يتكون من 31 satellites. And these 31 satellites, what do? They orbit the Earth. What does it mean, orbit, as a verb?
يدور.
Yeah, go around. Go around or circle. Right, good. So what we understand so far, we have the GPS system. It has 31 satellites, and these satellites go around the Earth. Now, which leads to all points. So when they go around the Earth, they will cover all points of the planet. Being in sight, على مرمى, يعني they can be seen. When you say in sight of, it means it can be seen by at least 6 satellites at any given time. So we have 31 satellites and they go around the Earth. So at any time, any single point, you know, you have 6 satellites, you know, that are covering specific points. Okay?
Okay.
Fine. And that's why let's think of the answers that we have here. A, 31 of the many satellites in the GPS system. From the beginning, it's wrong. Why? Because we said that this system has 31 satellites. When you say 31 of the many satellites, what does that suggest? Can you tell me?
There are more than 31 satellites.
Exactly. When you say 31 of the many satellites, it means that there is more than that, more than 31. So that's wrong. B, each location on Earth has been observed by 6 satellites at some point. Okay? Now look, the second part due to the 31 satellites in the GPS system that go around the planet, this part is okay. The problem is in the first part. Why? Because it says each location on Earth, we are not saying is observed and at any given time, because remember, look, they said at any given time. But here they are telling us has been observed in the past and at some point. But here we're not talking about something that's happening in the past. We are giving a general statement, a fact. So here they changed the meaning from something that happens all the time at any given time to something that happened in the past, has been observed at some point. So B is wrong because of that. Okay, please take notes. You have to take notes to remember why B is wrong, why A is wrong. You need to make these highlightings. Okay. So what we can do, for example, next week, of course, you're going to do the test on the platform, just like this week. But maybe on Thursday or Friday, I send you the PDF because you've already done, and I already have your answers. It's much better if you print them out. You take the PDF, you go and you print it out, so that when you are with me, you are doing these highlightings, you are circling the words, you are taking notes. It's much better for you to study. Do you have them printed out in front of you now?
No.
The other
you don't have
room, yes.
Yeah, that's why I believe it's much better if we, after you do them and after everything, I send you the PDFs and you just print them out. When we come together, you take notes the same way I'm doing here on the screen. But what about C now? For question number 8. 6 satellites can examine every location on Earth. Now that's wrong. These 6 satellites cannot examine every location. We said any point can be covered by 6 satellites. And we have 31 in total. That means the whole Earth planet is covered by the satellites. But the 6 cannot cover, every location on Earth. That's the difference in the meaning. So C is wrong. Of course, that means D is the right answer. How is that? Look, every spot. So it's not all the locations. Every spot on the Earth can be viewed by a minimum of 6 satellites. Okay? So it's not 6 satellites can examine every location. You see, it's the same words, but the structure is different. Here I'm telling you, every spot can be covered by minimum of 6 satellites at any moment. Why? Because GPS has 31 satellites going around the Earth. So when they go around the Earth, this point has 6, the other point has 6, until we cover the whole Earth. So D is the right answer. Okay, question number 9. The ancient Greeks, what did they believe? They believed that thunder was caused by the collision of clouds. What does it mean, collision? When 2 things collide? Yeah, crashing. So that's what the ancient Greeks thought about the thunder. How was it caused? It happens because of what? Because of, for example, we have clouds crashing into each other, and that makes the thunder. So let's see which sentence gives us the same meaning. The Greeks have known for many centuries that clouds bumping into each other bring about thunder. Now, of course, look, bring about, these 2 words together, because look, we know that bring معناها يحضر. But bring about together, it means cause, يسبب. But here the problem is they changed believed into known, because when you know something, you are sure of it, it's different from that when you believe in it. Okay? That's the first difference. The second difference here, they added many centuries. And we don't have that in the original sentence. So none and many centuries make A wrong. What about B? In ancient Greece, it was thought and believed, we already said that they are the same thing, that thunder resulted from clouds crashing into each other. Yes, that's correct. In ancient Greeks, in Greece, that's just, instead of saying the ancient Greeks believed, it was thought. Thunder caused by, resulted from. Collision, crashing into each other. So B is the right answer for number 9. Now look, clouds look like they hit each other, and the ancient Greeks believed that thunder was the reason for this. Here the issue is about look like. So C is wrong. In ancient Greece, it was claimed that the thunder made clouds run into each other. That it's the opposite now. That because of thunder, they run into each other. No, the original sentence that the thunder happens because clouds run into each other. So it's about cause effect. What's the reason and what's the result? Here they switched. So D is wrong as well. And as we said, the best answer for 9 is B. Now here is the thing. From 10 to 14, we have no problem at all. So for 10, both of you chose B, and that's the right answer. 11, you both chose D, and that's the right answer, D. For 12, B, 13, A, and 14, D. But we can discuss question number 15. In the original sentence, 15 is saying, although stress can increase level of stomach acid, and of course that will affect the digestion negatively. What does it mean, digestion?
هضم.
هضم. Good. عملية الهضم. So although, so we have here although, which means contrast. على الرغم من. تناقض. Although stress, التوتر, can increase the levels of stomach acid, حمض المعدة. طبعا stomach معدة وacid حمض. I think that you know that already. And because we have high levels of stomach acid, that affects, يؤثر على digestion negative بشكل سلبي. Although this is true, but it's not the main reason. It's not the main cause of stomach ulcers. Ulcers means قرحة. We know, we have something called قرحة المعدة. So they say, yes, stress can increase the levels of stomach acid, and yes, it can affect the digestion in a negative way, but it's not the main reason for stomach ulcers. That's the meaning that we need to get in question number 15, okay? Now, A, stomach ulcers are not related to stress, despite the connection between stomach acid caused by stress and the inability to digest food. Now, when you say that ulcers are not related to stress, you are saying there is no relationship between them at all, and that's wrong. It is one of the reasons. It's not the main reason. Okay? It is not the main reason, but it's related to it. You cannot say that it's not related to it. It is related. What is the problem, or what's the difference? The difference is that it is not the main reason. But you cannot say they are not related to each other. They are. So what about B? Stress is the only one of the causes of stomach ulcers. What do you think of B? Is it correct?
No.
No, it's exactly the opposite. Because in the original sentence, we are saying, Ya Jama'a, it's not the main reason. And here you are telling me, it is the only reason. So that's the opposite. So B doesn't work. What about C? While, again, It shows us contrast, just like although, but in a different way. While high amounts of stomach acid and poor digestion may be the result of stress, and that's what we said here, because this stress can increase the stomach acid and affect the digestion negatively. So stress, digestion, poor because it's negative, and stomach acid. They said increased levels, they said high amounts, the same thing. So while high amounts of stomach acid and poor digestion may be a result of stress, stomach ulcers are not primarily. What does it mean? Primarily, mainly. So stomach ulcers are not primarily caused by stress. And C is the best answer. And now we're done with the first section. And we discussed all the questions that we need to discuss. Now you know the right answers for all the 15 questions that we have here from 1 to 5. And you know that the questions that we didn't discuss them because you already got them right, and I even highlighted the right answer for each one. So is everything about section 1 clear? You know the right answers, you know why you got some questions wrong, and so on?
Yes.
Before we move to reading, do you have any question? Would you like to ask anything?
No.
No?
Nothing.
Sure? So let's now move to the second section, which is reading. And let me tell you something before we start with any of these questions, Ya Jama. First of all, there are two main strategies. There are many different strategies, but the main ones are two. Some people, they prefer to read the whole text before they go and answer the questions. Some people, they immediately go to the question and they go to a specific part in the passage to answer that question. So which way is better? First of all, let me tell you, there are many different ways and there's nothing called the best. But there is the strategy that works for you. For example, you are a person who cannot answer the questions until you have read the whole thing and you understand what the passage is about. So do it. Other people, when they read the whole text first, they need a lot of time, and a lot of information will be processed in the brain, and that will confuse them. So they prefer to go to each question by question. So if that works for you, also do it. I think every test we do from now on, it has 4 passages. So for example, you want to try yourself out. For the first passage, for example, read the whole thing first, and then go and read the answers. And you need to choose the best strategy according to 3 elements. What are they? Number 1, time management. Can you read the whole passage and answer the questions and you still manage your time? You're not wasting a lot of time? That's the first thing, time management. You know that time is very important. Number 2, how many right answers you get. So how do I know that if I'm doing the test? How many questions you answered and you are 100% sure that your answer is right? And at the same time, how many questions you answered, but you're not really sure. You are just guessing. That's number 2. Number 3, are you getting the main idea of the passage or not? Are you able to understand the main idea and the specific details? Or you are just understanding the specific details or just the main idea? So these 3 elements will tell you what is the best strategy for you. So try yourself out. One passage, read it first and then answer the questions and see how much time it takes and how many answers you are sure about. And then the second passage, do the other strategy. Don't read the passage, go immediately to the question and try to answer it from the passage, go back and forth and see. After you do it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, of course, you're going to notice which strategy works best for you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right. After we choose our best strategy for the reading section, there are certain steps you have to follow, okay, for each question you answer. What are these steps? And please, if you can write them down. Whenever you answer a reading question, number 1, the first thing that we know, of course, is read the question, but that's not enough. You have to, again, do what? You have to highlight, you have to circle, you have to underline the keywords. For example, here, okay, the word murky in paragraph 2 is closest to meaning in what? So you know that the word is in paragraph 2, it's the word is murky, and they're asking us about the meaning. Okay, for example, you go to question number 4. It's paragraph 4. The writer mentions Zorro and Stumpy too. Why? So you do this. So why does the author mention these 2 things? Highlighting the keywords will keep your mind focused on what to look for. If you just read and go and look for, you can be a little bit confused. So number 1, don't just read the question. Of course, you have to read the question, but you have to pick up your keywords. And then what do? If the question tells you which paragraph the answer is in, then you have to keep these keywords in mind and look for them. And remember, they may not give you the same keywords, but they might give you synonyms, words with similar meanings. So you look for these words. When you look for these words, you slow down. When you read the passage again to find the answer, slow down, focus, see what these lines are telling you about these keywords. Number 4, if you can answer the question immediately, go and do it. If you are confused between 2 or 3 answers, then as we do usually, eliminate or cross out the answers that are obviously wrong, and then choose the best one. That's it. These are the steps that you have to follow for each question. And then, of course, every type of question has its own techniques. For example, here we have a question that asks about the main idea. That means I focus on the first sentence, because the first sentence of each paragraph, we already talked about that, it's called the topic sentence, and it contains the main idea. Is it enough to read the first sentence and get the answer? Of course not. You have to read the whole paragraph, but you read the whole paragraph quickly to highlight the main details, but you focus more on the first sentence because it is the topic sentence. For example, what about words that, questions that ask us about the words and their meanings? There is a specific technique that I'm going to tell you about to get the right answer every time, and so on. So look, here's the thing. For the first passage, we're going to do the basic thing. We're going to read the whole passage. We're going to highlight the key points, and then we're going to answer the questions. For the next passage, we're not going to read the whole passage. We're going to move immediately to the questions and try to answer each question by itself. So when we read, again, you have to highlight the key points. It doesn't take you much time. It doesn't take extra time. It's just you are working with your eyes, mind, and hands at the same time. So let's see. Surprisingly, little is known about whale sharks, the biggest fish in the sea. So little is known about what? Whale sharks. That's the keywords I got here. That's why conservation biologist Brad Norman, one of the world's leading whale sharks experts, is on a mission to recruit. Recruit, of course, means hire, يوظف. Conservation, it means المحافظة على البيئة. thousands of students, tourists, and divers to photograph and report encounters. Encounters means meetings, when they meet a whale shark, with these gentle giants. So the gentle giants is referring to the whale sharks. When spotted, when you find them, when you can spot them where they are, the whale shark is hard to miss. You cannot miss it. Why? Because it's 13 meters. It has the length of a bus. Filter feed plankton through a nearly 2 meters wide mouth. And of course, it uses its 2 meter wide mouth to filter the plankton. Plankton, you know, they are very small and tiny creatures that they feed on. And it weighs 20 tons or more. So as you can see, I'm not highlighting everything. I'm highlighting the key points. Little is known, okay? Report encounters with these gentle giants. We have the expert, Brad Norman. It's the whale sharks are 13 meters long, and they have 2 meter wide mouth, and they can weigh 20 tons. Now we move to the second paragraph. And we focus on the main idea, guys, okay? Because the first sentence is the main idea of the whole thing. And everybody that follows is just supporting details. It has been given status as endangered species. So now they think it's an endangered species. Species, of course, it means صنف من الحيوانات. أو سلالة من الحيوانات. What does it mean, endangered?
مهدد بالانقراض.
في خطر الانقراض. يعني ما هو منقرض بس ممكن يتعرض للانقراض. endangered. المنقرض شو اسمه؟ extinct. extinct. منقرض. طيب. So, but actually, so they said it's endangered, but actually, the exact number of whale sharks is as murky as scientists' knowledge about them. طيب, what is the scientists' knowledge about them? We already said before, how much do we know about the whale sharks? Little is known. So when you say the exact number of whale sharks is as murky as scientists' knowledge, the scientist's knowledge is little. So what do you think about the exact number? What does it mean, murky? And that's how we can answer the question, for example. Does it mean unbelievable, unclear, unsafe, or unexpected? I'm telling you that we don't know, we know just little about whale sharks. And yes, it is endangered, but the exact number is as murky as the scientist's knowledge. So what does it mean here, murky? Can you tell me?
Unclear.
Yeah, it's not clear. We don't know because we have little knowledge. We cannot say unbelievable, unexpected, unsafe. Why? Because murky is an adjective. And you need to connect the adjective to the word that it describes, which is the exact number. Okay. So let's see. So here it's an endangered species, but we don't know actually the exact number. Not discovered until 1828 when one of them was spotted. Spotted, of course, here it means seen. So nobody discovered this species until 1828. What happened? There was one whale shark that was seen off South Africa's coast, على ساحل جنوب أفريقيا. Whale sharks were just seen 320 times over the next 160 years. Over the last 25 years, research has increased to some degree, resulting in increasing of sightings. You need to understand that. Before, nobody was interested in research or in knowledge about whale sharks. But now, because the research increased, the number of sightings, seeings increased. Because now they search more, they can see and find more. Okay? However, we still don't know how many there are, where they meet, and why they prefer to gather in some places. Who's saying that? Norman, the expert. They are also difficult to track. Track simply, of course, means follow. It's hard to follow them. Why? Because they can stay down deep for months at a time. That's a very important point of view or important piece of information. It's very hard to follow these whale sharks. Why? Because they can stay deep down for months at a time. As a result, and because of that, we cannot follow them. There is still a lot of mystery. We don't know a lot about them because mystery means lose. We still don't know many things about them. Why? Because even if we want to follow them and track them, we cannot go very deep for months. Based on assessments of commercial fishermen, Norman says their global population may have declined. The population, the number, may have declined by over 50%, half of them in the past 75 years, but yet no one knows for sure. We don't know for sure. We have commercial fishermen, صيادين, بالتجارة يعني, يشتغلوا بالتجارة, commercial. That's what they are saying, that their population may, and we said may, we're not sure, may have declined by over 50%. And remember, may have declined, this is modal past, modal verbs in the past, may have declined over 50%, but we're not sure. Number three. Now, Norman, and remember, the first sentence is the most important sentence. Norman helped generally expand whale shark research. So he increased the research about the whale sharks beginning in the 1990s. That's the main idea. And everything else will just support that idea. So we have this expert, Norman. This person helped to increase the research about whale sharks beginning in the 1990s. So his marine research organization, Ecocean, started the photo identification of whale sharks. At present, now, more than 7,000 whale sharks have been recorded. So now we have this number. Mainly through 60,000 photographs and 36,000 encounter reports submitted by citizen scientists on the online photo identification database that's called Wild Book for Whale Sharks. So now they have database on the internet and everybody can record, take photos, and then make reports. Now, this information helps with the identification of whale sharks as each one has a unique pattern of white spots. Now, that can help us to know the exact number. Why? Because when we take the photo, we notice that each of these sharks, it has a specific, unique pattern of white spots. Because in the picture, if you look at the picture with the text, you know, there are white spots. And each whale shark, it has a different shape, different pattern of white spots. And this is similar to humans. We have unique fingerprints, right? The growing collection of photos from 54 countries act as visual tags for identifying each individual. What are we trying to identify? What does it mean, every individual? Who's that every individual? Because we have a question about that. Guys, what are we trying to identify? You go back and you say photo identification of what? Of whale sharks. So now we are using these photos. You see the connection from 54 countries, and they act as visual tags for identifying what? Every individual. Every individual what? You go to the question and they ask you, every individual country, photo, human or whale shark. What is the answer?
Whale
Whale
shark.
shark.
Yes. So the answer is D. So when you have a question asking you, what does this word refer to? You have to make these connections. You have to connect it with the word identify. Because here we have identifying every individual. Okay, what were we trying to identify at the beginning of the paragraph? The identification of whale sharks. So every individual refers to whale shark, and that's the answer. That's how you need to make the connections. So we continue reading. As well as, in addition to, helping researchers in piecing together migration patterns, to put together the migration patterns, anmat al-hijra, because they travel from one place to another, and territory, and the place they live in, the habitat, the territory. Having thousands of citizen scientists around the world. So now when you have online database, and you have thousands of scientists from all over the world, that creates information about these fish, the whale sharks. And what does that create? It creates a lot of public interest. People will be interested in that and interested in conserving them, keeping them, protecting them. Norman says, the beauty of this, why is this project beautiful? Because everyone can help. Everyone can assist in whale shark research and help protect this species. Norman also places temporary cameras on whale shark fins. Fins هي الزعانف. Fins. Providing a fish eye view of the slow, graceful movements and interaction with the humans. So they put on their fins temporary مؤقت cameras to show us how they move and how they have interactions with the humans. During more than 2 decades, we said decades means 10 years. So 2 decades, more than 20 years of research of Western Australia's Nangalo Reef. Reef طبعا معناها الشعاب المرجانية. You know, when we see people go, you know, deep down and they see these colorful places and so on. So he has several encounters. He's had several encounters, meetings with Zorro, nicknamed for the Z-shaped scar on the upper edge of his tail. So why is this shark called Zorro? Because it has a Z-shaped scar, but where? On the upper edge of his tail. And then we have Stumpy, another mature whale shark with a stump-shaped fin. Swimming with them, and here's the most important part. So because we said, why did they mention Zorro and Stumpy? Now they say, and he's saying, of course, the expert, Norman, he says, swimming with them is like seeing old friends. That's how he feels when he sees them. They are old friends. Knowing that they have matured, they grew older, and they keep coming back. So every time they see him, they come back to him, gives me a warm feeling. That's why you know, he mentions them. So now when you go to the question in paragraph 4, why the writer mentions Zorro and Stumpy to do what? What would you say now? to explain the dangers that whale sharks face, to introduce 2 of the most beautiful whale sharks that have ever been discovered, or to show the personal connection that Norman has developed with whale sharks, or to prove that whale sharks have a long lifespan. Yahya, what would you choose?
I guess I choose C.
Hussam?
C.
Yeah. So it's about the personal connection. Exactly. Why? Because he said all the friends. And he said that every time when they come back to him, how does he feel? This gives him a warm feeling. So all the friends and warm feeling, of course, that means there's a personal connection with these 2 sharks. So the last one, the last paragraph in this passage, number 5. Norman encourages, يشجع, the next generation of whale shark researchers. طبعا ما عم بيشجع الشاركس، عم بيشجع researchers الباحثين عن whale sharks through events عن طريق الفعاليات, such as, for example, the 2015 race around the world, which placed satellite tags on 12 whale sharks and encouraged students to track them. So now they put satellite tags and they place them on whale sharks. Why? To track them. He hopes more students will participate just as enthusiastically in the study of whale sharks in upcoming publicity campaigns. We are still in the early days when it comes to understanding the whale shark's history and behavior. He's saying like لساتنا بداية الشغل لما نحاول نبحث عن ماضيهم وسلوكهم. We are lucky more and more people are getting to see them and collaborating with us, helping with us. That's the whole passage. So if you are a person who loves to read the passage first, do it. If you think that it will take a lot of time and you will not actually be able to understand all the details, then don't. It's up to you. I'm just showing you the 2 different ways. But either way, you have to highlight the key details. You have to highlight the keywords to get focused and understand what the passage is about. So what is the text mainly about? That's question number 16. For example, is it D, how human behavior is leading to decrease in numbers of whale sharks? No. Is it how schools have played an important part in conservation of whale sharks? Did we ever mention schools? No. Studies which give conflicting information. يعني في عندنا دراسات بس عم تعطيني معلومات متناقضة. Conflicting information about the current state of whale sharks? No. The answer is A. The whole point is about efforts, مجهودات, to increase knowledge about the protection of whale sharks. طبعا عم نحكي عن مجهوداته لنورمان اللي هو عم يعمل هي الابحاث وعم يعمل online database ومشاريع, all of that so that people can have more knowledge about the whale sharks and they can try much better to protect this species. So 16, the answer is A. 17, we already answered B. 18, we have no problem. Both of you chose D, and that's the right answer. 19, again, we answered this question and we said it's D. Every individual refers to individual sharks. 20, both of you got the right answer, which is B. The database about whale sharks is increasing knowledge about them and helping conserve them. That's the main idea of paragraph number 3. 21, we already answered this question and we said the answer for 21 is C. 24, we already answered, sorry, no, 22, I mean. 22, both of you got the right answer, which is A. Norman's 2015 event managed to gain the interest of students. Is everything fine? Do you have any question?
No.
Sorry. All right. So now we move to the second passage, which is talking about hiking and your brain. هلا even if you don't want to read the passage، تمام، ركزوا معي. حتى لو أنت ما بدك تقرأ الباسج ككله، على الأقل اقرأ المقطع الأول. وبعدين شو بتعمل؟ بتقرأ الجملة الأولى من كل مقطع فقط، وبعدين بتروح للأسئلة. اتفقنا؟ يعني حتى لو أنت ما بدك تقرأ الباسج، وعلى فكرة مو شرط. ما هو شرط أبداً إنك تقرأ كل المقطع لحتى تبلش حل، لا. بس نفس الوقت ما فيني أروح للأسئلة مباشرة. شو بعمل؟ 3 خطوات. الخطوة الأولى البسيطة، بتقرأ العنوان لتعرف شو الموضوع. بتقرأ المقطع الأول كله لأنه هو الانترودكشن، المقدمة، فبيحكي لك عن شو رح نحكي. وبعدين لما بتروح لكل مقطع تقرأ فقط الجملة الأولى. ليش؟ لأنه نحن متفقين إنه أصلاً الجملة الأولى في كل مقطع هي بتعبر عن الفكرة الرئيسية للمقطع كله. فأنت صحيح لسه ما بتعرف الديتيلز وما بتعرف السبيسيفيك بوينتس، بس أنت عارفان إنه الموضوع هو هيك، وهذا اللي رح نناقشه عن الموضوع في المقدمة. وبعدين الأفكار الرئيسية هي 1 2 3 4. خالصين، أمورك منظمة. وبصراحة لو تسألني أنا هذا اللي بفضله. ما تضيع وقتك إنه أنت عم تقرأ الباسج كله. ليش؟ لأنه لما رح تحل الأسئلة أنت هيك بالأخير رح تقرأ الباسج كله، بس على تقسيط، قطعة قطعة، مقطع مقطع، detail. بس قبل ما تروح للأسئلة رجاءً، first read the title, second read the first paragraph completely, and third read the first sentence of each paragraph. لما بتروح على الأسئلة بقى، السؤال أصلاً أغلب الأوقات بيقول لك هذا السؤال له علاقة بباراجراف 1، باراجراف 2، باراجراف 3. فأنت شو بتعمل؟ السؤال مثلا 23 عم يسأل عن باراجراف 2 وعم يسألك عن الستاتستكس، فكل ما اتفقنا بتحط إشارة على المين keywords. فعندي إحصائيات مذكورة بالباراجراف 2 and what do they show us. فأنت بتروح وبتقرأ الباراجراف 2، بتعمل highlighting على الكيوردز وعلى المين ideas in paragraph 2، وبعدين بتلاقي النتيجة. تمام؟ وبتجاوب صح إن شاء الله. طيب. So let's do 23. تمام؟ إذا هيك بنعمل. What is the topic about? Hiking and your brain. تمام. The great outdoors might be even greater than you think. We are all aware, we all know that hiking is healthy for the body. But few of us consider how hiking benefits our mental health. So it's not just healthy for the body. We already know that. We are all aware. كلنا بنعرف إنه hiking is good for the body. But only few of us know how it's good not only for our body but also for our brain, mental health. Because mental هي صفة من كلمة mind. Mind عقل. Mental صفة عقلي لصحة عقولنا. It turns out يعني تم اكتشاف أو تبين. It turns out تبين that walking renews the brain. بيجدد خلايا الدماغ. But if it's done in a natural environment. مو أي نوع من أنواع المشي. لما بتمشي في بيئة طبيعية. Natural environment. فأنا من البداية عارفين إنه عم نحكي عن الهايكينج. وبالأخص عم نحكي عن الpositive side of hiking. And more specifically, we're talking about the mental health benefits of hiking. فهلا بقرا مثلا هون. Recent studies about the effects of hiking have aimed to understand how this affects our brains. تمام؟ إذن one reason. فهون رح يحكوا عن reasons why we are doing these studies or why these have their effects. بعدين تروح على number 3. Some studies regard hiking have focused on its significance on emotions. فأنت عارفان يا جماعة حتى قبل من دون ما تقرأ الباراجراف هذا أنت بتعرف إنه رح يحكي عن feelings والemotions. صح؟ بعدين number 4. Other studies point out how hiking invigorates the brain. طب شو يعني invigorate؟ أنا ما بعرف. بتكمل قراءة بتلاقي إنه بالأخير بيحكي which measures creative potential in people. So it helps the brain in creativity. طيب. Although hiking is not the solution for all life troubles, it makes our lives a lot better with relatively little effort. So of course, it's not the solution for all of our problems, but it makes our lives a lot better. خالصين تقرا الجملة الأولى من كل مقطع، فأنت عارفان إنه بالمقطع الثاني راح يحكوا عن الأسباب اللي طلعت بالدراسات. المقطع الثالث راح يحكي عن effects of hiking on emotions. 4 effects on the brain and creativity. 5 how it makes our lives better. خالصين بعدين بتروح بتحل الأسئلة. Now question number 23 is telling us that the statistics mentioned in paragraph 2 show what? So I now go to paragraph 2, I focus on the statistics الإحصائيات. One reason for this research is that we are spending much less time outdoors. ما بنطلع نقضي وقت كتير برا في الطبيعة. The average child spends half as much time outside compared to only 20 years ago. So 20 years ago, for example, we used to spend 10 hours a day, for example, outdoors. But now, only, for example, half, 5 hours. Of course, number 10 is just an example. It's not a real thing. And the other statistic says only 6% of children play outside on their own in a typical week. Conversely, on the contrary, يعني وبالعكس, time kids spend watching television, playing video games, and using a computer, tablet, or phone for recreational purposes had jumped to 8 hours per day. So on the other side, kids spend a lot of time inside, indoors, playing video games, using a computer, tablet, phone, watching TV, and so on. Overall, people now spend 93% of their time inside a building or a vehicle. طبعا vehicle مركبة, car, train, bus. No one really knows what these changes do to our brains. So now we read the whole paragraph, and now what do these statistics show us? Children are not doing as badly as adults at spending time in natural environment. The paragraph did not compare between children and adults. It's comparing how much we are spending time outdoors now and in the past, 20 years ago. So A is wrong. B, adults are not including children in their outdoors activities. So when adults have outdoor activities, they don't take children with them. That's not what we said, right? C, the trend to spend less time outside began several generations ago. هلا كل generation you can say 10 years. And we say several, it means from 3 to 7. But no, we said just 20 years ago, 2 decades. So C is wrong as well. And the best answer is D. Right? Time spent outdoors is decreasing rapidly. Rapidly means quickly. And that's not only for children or for adults, for all age groups. So the answer is D. Hello, Miss Eluna. In paragraph 3, which of the following people had decreased blood flow to the subgenal prefrontal cortex? هدول الكيوردز اللي اتفقنا بقى لانه هذا سؤال خاص ما بيسالني عن the whole paragraph بروح بدور عليهم دوار. What do? I have keywords. For example, I have here, look, scientists did brain scans on subjects and found that the hikers decreased blood flow. هاي الكلمات الموجودة في السؤال عم ندور عليها. To the subgenal prefrontal cortex. تمام؟ مين هدول؟ الهايكرز. مين الهايكرز؟ لأنه هون قالوا لنا one study found that just a 90-minute walk through a natural environment هذا اسمه hiking. هذا the difference between walking and hiking. Walking everywhere, in the city, in the countryside, in the mountains, in the forest, everywhere. But hiking only in natural environments. So they said, one study found that just at a 90-minute walk through a natural environment had impact on participant mood. It changes the mood. In a survey taken afterwards, they took a survey after that, okay? Those who took the hike showed lower levels of worry. They don't worry a lot. We have a control group and they also spent 9 minutes walking, but where? In a city. So when they walked the 90 minutes in a city, that did not actually show any difference. So it only happens when you hike in a natural environment. And that's when you have decreased blood flow level. Because they said when you have increased blood flow to this region in the brain, that gives you bad mood and it will increase your worry. But those who hike, they have increased level in the blood flow to this area of the brain, and that's why they have better moods and they don't worry a lot. فهلا عم يسألونا, which people had decreased blood flow to the subgenal prefrontal cortex? What would you say, guys? Give me your answers. Hossein, what would you say?
A.
Exactly. So the answer is A. 90 minutes is, sorry, people who took a 90 minutes, not any 90 minutes, in a natural environment. B is wrong because it's in the city. C, because they said both. No, not both. Because we said in the city, they didn't show any difference like that. People whose emotions are affected easily, we don't have that. So the answer is A. 25. عم بيقول لك which of the following statement is not supported. هالمرة عم يسألك العكس. أي جملة ما في عليها دليل. ما هي مدعومة بأي معلومة من الباراجراف 3. طيب ركز معي. Spending even a few minutes outdoors can be beneficial. أنت لما تروح للباراجراف number 3 قال لك even if you spend only a few minutes that will help you. فشو قالوا لنا هون؟ Even getting out into nature for 5 minutes alters mood. How? In a positive way. What does that mean? It means that, for example, here, B is supported, but here we are looking for something that's not supported. So I cannot choose B because it's correct, it's mentioned, it's supported. So if a full day outside will significantly impact the way you feel, of course. If you spend the whole day outside in the outdoors, that will change the way you feel. Hiking near a place like the sea added benefits. Yes, because the sea is a natural place. The only information that's not supported is A. We don't know at all. They never said that 90 minutes is the best amount of time to spend outdoors. No, they said there's a study. In this study, we have people who walked 90 minutes in the city and some other people who walked 90 minutes in the natural environment. And of course, in the natural environment, these people had better results, they have better moods, and that affected them positively. But they never said, we don't know that 90 minutes is the best amount of time you spend outdoors. That's why we can say A is not supported, because we don't know. And the answer is A. 26, you got it right. The answer is C, refreshes the mind. And then we have 27. 27 here, they are telling us, from paragraph 4, what can we understand? Okay. So for 27, guys, modern life provides, So modern life provides more distractions that our brain can handle. The answer is B. Why is that? And that's an inference question, which means they will not tell you directly. You have to understand that. You have to make a conclusion about that. So, for example, Hidayanas actually believes this area of the brain gets too much information, distractions, and the constant stress of indoor urban. Urban means city, urban living. But time outdoors refreshes the mind and enables it to focus again. So what can we understand from this sentence? As I said, we can understand that modern life provides more distractions that our brains can handle. Now, 28, you both got the right answer, B. 29, you both got the right answer, B. And now we're done with the second passage. We still, of course, have texts number 3 and 4, but we're gonna deal with them after the break, inshallah. So now we're gonna have our break for 15 minutes, and we're gonna come back at 3:40. Okay? So please don't be late. At 3:40, we're gonna come back and we're gonna deal with texts number 3 and number 4. Come on, guys. Are you there?
Yes.
All right. So for text 3 on the platform, did you have the whole text and all the questions?
Yes.
Which passage was missing then? Was there something missing in the exam?
Yes, last passage. The second paragraph.
Mm-hmm. Only the second paragraph?
Yeah.
No, I think there was more than one paragraph.
So we will see. Now because we don't have any problem with text 3, we can do all the questions related to it now, okay? So. All right, so this time we're talking about silence, the best music for productivity. Like most modern office workers, I spend my days in an open office, which means I'm in the middle of ringing phones, conversations of co-workers, and sounds of cleaners and repairmen. My boss still expects me to meet deadlines, so I wear headphones and listen to music. Wondering if I was replacing one distracting noise with another, I read all that I could about background noise while working. What I read contained bad news for anyone who believes background music is innocuous. It turns out, and of course, if you don't know what that means, the explanation comes later. All I need to know that this is an adjective, okay, to describe the belief about background music. It turns out the best thing to listen to for most office workers is nothing, because silence is the best music for productivity. So now we know that innocuous is something negative. Background music is innocuous. So now when you go to the options, what does it mean? Unbearable, we cannot stand it. Unclear, debatable, it can be argued, or harmless. So if we're going to think about this question 31, the best answer here is D, right? And why is that? Because here they said that we can replace this word innocuous with harmless. Look, I have bad news for anyone who thinks that background music is harmless. Why? That means actually that it has some bad effects. And that's why I have bad news for the people who think that background music is innocuous. It's harmless. No, it's not. And how did I know that? Because we said in the last sentence, it turns out, tabayyana, that the best thing to listen to for most office workers is nothing, which means actually background music has some bad effects. And you both got the right answer for D. It's for 31, it's D. Okay. And then we read the first sentence of each paragraph as we agreed. An early study called the music an aid to productivity found that the music could be just that, but the participants in that experiments were doing factory work. Some studies showed slightly positive effects of background noise on task performance for some when classical music was used. So here we have specific kind of work in paragraph 2, factory work. Here we have specific kind of music, classical music. The effect of music on concentration seems to be worse. For whom? So now we're talking about specific people, you see? So specific work, factory work, specific music, classical music, specific group of people, older people. The effects of music on focus or concentration seems to be worse for older people and those who naturally prefer quiet. The last one, if listening to music while working is so bad, why do so many of us do it? And then we have the reasons, probably because we like it and we ignore its true effect, and so on and so forth. The main idea of the text is, that's for question number 30. And for this question, research about music and productivity has produced conflicting results. So more study is needed? No. We are saying that we used to believe that, background music has positive effects, but now we can see it has negative ones. So we don't need actually more study. Although there are few exceptions, listening to music has a negative effect on productivity, yes. What are these exceptions? We said factory work, classical music, and so on. Office workers need more training so that they know how music can be used to increase their productivity? No. The writer prefers silence while working, but he has not been able to convince many people of his point of view? No. So for question number 30, the best answer is B. Yes, there are exceptions, but although there are some exceptions, listening to music generally has a negative effect on productivity. We already answered 31. 32, you both got the right answer, which is B. Curiosity about the impact of listening to music on his work, that's the thing that led the writer to do some research. 33, according to paragraph 2, music helps factory workers perform better. So let's see what's happening. We need to continue. We already said that it's help or an aid to productivity, and that happened with factory work. Now, the boost in productivity, the researchers noticed, happened because the music made the task less boring and kept the workers alert, focused. This also helps explain studies finding that music helps brain surgeons to perform better. Most of what a brain surgeon does is opening a hole in the skull bone. Actually, the work of a brain surgeon and a long-distance truck driver are quite similar. How is that? If nothing goes wrong, the tasks themselves are somewhat boring and repetitive. So you need something that will keep your brain active. And that's why it helped three kinds of people: the factory workers, the brain surgeons, and the truck drivers. Their work is boring and repetitive. So just because of that, the tasks themselves are boring, okay? However, the music makes their brain active, and that's why the music helped them. However, when silence and music were compared in more complex tasks, people did better in silence, okay? In one study, researchers gave subjects the option to listen to fast music, slow music, or nothing while counting backward. So they count 10, 9, 8, 7. The people who listened to fast tunes did worst of all. And those who heard silence did the best. Okay? So when you have interactive, interesting, complex tasks, silence is much better than music. But if your task is long, boring, repetitive, tedious, then of course music can help just to keep the brain active. Here they're telling us, according to paragraph 2, music helps factory workers perform better. But some workers found it distracting. We don't have that. Because when we say workers, we are still talking about the factory workers. But fast music was not as helpful as flow music? No. Why? Because here we are still talking, remember, about factory workers. And we talked about slow music and fast music is just for people who were counting backwards, which shows that more workplaces should make use of it? Of course not. The answer is A. And it has been found to have a positive effect on two other kinds of people. What are they? We said the truck drivers and brain surgeons. Okay? That's why the answer is A, because it helps not only the factory workers, but also the truck drivers and the brain surgeons. Are you following?
Yes.
Okay. Now, for question number 34, we have no problem. The answer is C, because attend means focus on. 35, 36, 37, we have a problem with these three questions. So we need to focus on that. From paragraph 3, the reader can understand that what? So we go to paragraph 3 and we try to focus on the key points mentioned there. Now, some studies showed, we are talking about paragraph 3, right? Yeah. Some studies showed slightly positive effects of background noise on task performance for some when classical music was used. So again, this is again some positive effect for music, but for a specific kind of music, which is classical. Let's see. Although it's true that classical music is less distracting, people whose performance improved probably found ways to avoid getting distracted by the music. So classical music is calm, it's slow, it's quiet. But not, it's just because of that reason people got better performance. It's actually because these people who were listening to classical music, they found ways to avoid getting distracted by the music. The reason this doesn't work for most people is they can't pay attention to much at once. You cannot focus on everything all at the same time. Both lyrics, the words of the songs, and engaging music use up our limited supply of attention, just as flashing got words from the lyrics. And of course, who's saying that? Nick Perham, who's a psychologist at the University of Field. If you are listening closely enough to understand the lyrics of a song, your reading comprehension declines. You cannot do many things at the same time. So if you are reading something and you are listening to music, you either focus more on the reading or on the music. If you pay enough attention to music to understand even the lyrics of the song, then your understanding of the reading that you are doing will decline. If you focus on classical music closely, you get the same negative results. It's just like any other music. What can we understand from this paragraph? Okay, if people practice paying attention to more than one thing at a time, they can improve at doing things. Is that what we can get or understand from this paragraph? Did they say that if we practice paying attention to more than one thing, we can get improved? No. Attention is similar to flashing lights or bad smell because it changes quickly just like these things do? No. The answer is C. If you don't pay attention to the lyrics of a song played while you are reading, the music may not affect you. But if you pay enough attention to understand the words of the song, then of course, as we said, your comprehension of the reading will decline. But if you don't pay attention to the lyrics of a song, then it will not affect your understanding. Now, question number 36 is about paragraph 4. And they said, which of the following statements related to stochastic resonance is true based on paragraph 4? The effect of music on concentration seems to be worse for older people and those who naturally prefer quiet. One experiment had extroverts and introverts. Of course, extroverts are the social people who like to be out, seeing people all the time, having activities. Introverts are the opposites. They probably prefer to be alone and to have quiet life and so on. So one experiment had extroverts and introverts listen to classical music. And memorizing images or reading a passage was more difficult for introverts, but less difficult for extroverts while listening to the music. Conversely, another recent study found that background noise helped children with ADHD, a concentration disorder, to focus. So these children who actually cannot really sit still, who want to move and do things all the time, they have a concentration disorder called ADHD. So actually the music, the background noise helped them. The authors concluded that their improved performance was due to stochastic resonance, which is the idea that the lower than the average dopamine levels in the brain of people with ADHD means that. So they have lower than average dopamine levels, and these are chemicals in our brains. So these people who have lower than average dopamine levels in the brains of, and these are the people who have ADHD, concentration problems, they might need a bit more noise from the external environment in order to maintain their concentration. That's what we understand. That's the stochastic resonance. It's the idea that people who have ADHD, they have lower levels of dopamine in their brains. And that's why they might need, a bit more noise to help them concentrate. What can we get from here? What is the best answer for question number 36? People with low dopamine levels actually focus better when there is more external noise. Isn't that what we can understand from this sentence? Yes. The answer is A. We've just said people who have lower than average dopamine levels, they have the ADHD, which is the concentration problem. And that's why they might need a bit of more noise to help them concentrate. So the answer is A. People with low dopamine levels actually focus better when there is more external noise. And then for 37, paragraph 5 explains that all that employees become more productive when what? So in the same thing, you keep these keywords, employees keep more productive when, and you go and you try to find the answer in the passage. As one study found, people prefer listening to music over office noise or silence. So people prefer music to what? To office noise or to silence. It's an issue of preference, even though it didn't help them think any better. Levitin advises taking a break every 2 hours. So take a break every 2 hours and listening to music for 15 minutes as listening to music between tasks boosts performance. So he suggests that you have to take a break every 2 hours, and in that break, listen to music. Then go back to your silent area and ask your noisy colleagues to be more considerate. And then go and tell your people in the office who are making noise to be quiet, to be considerate. Because considerate, it means people who care about the others around them. So employees become more productive when their employers help them identify types of music that increase performance? No. They are given freedom to choose the music they enjoy most? No. They listen to music during breaks? Isn't that correct? Rather than while working. So that will help them get more productive when they listen to music during breaks, not while they are working. So the best answer for 37 is C. They come to an agreement with their colleagues about how much noise they should do. That's something that can help. But the main thing is that they take a break and they listen to music during the break. So the best answer for 37 is C. And now we go to text number 4. 38, very quickly, we're going to say that the answer is C, culmination means result. 39, it's also C. The Gaokao has a significant effect on what a person earns and achieves throughout their life. Okay, guys. 40, We have no problem. The answer is D. They refer to students from a British sixth form class. And 41, the answer is A. Paragraph 2 focuses on differing opinions about Chinese education in Western countries. Now for 42, 43, 44, 45, we have a problem. We have to focus on these questions to answer them. 42 is about paragraph 3, 43 is about 4, and then 44 and 45 are about paragraph 5. Let's see how we can answer these questions. A similarity between the Kejo and Gaokao mentioned in paragraph 3 is. So what's similar between these two? We go to paragraph number 3 and we try to find the answer. What am I looking for? I have the keywords in my mind. We are looking for a similarity between these two systems, the Jeko and the Gaokao. So the Gaokao is made up of 4 3-hour exam papers. Okay, so there are 4 exam papers and each one has 3 hours. Chinese, English, math, and a choice of either sciences or humanities. The questions are mostly multiple choice or fill in the gaps. And they are extremely hard. The most difficult section is the essay part in the Chinese exam. Students have 1 hour to write essays about questions which are nearly impossible to answer, such as, do butterfly wings have colors? It's possible to retake the exam 1 year later, but if a student fails a second time, there is no alternative path to university. Tragically, suicides are a regular feature of every exam season. Allah يسامحكم بس. You know that the question is about paragraph 3, and I was reading paragraph 4. Why did you say such a thing? Anyway, but that's going to help us for the other questions, so keep that in mind. So tragically, suicides are a regular feature of every exam season. A 2014 study found exam stress was a factor in 90% of cases in which students took on their lives, which means they committed suicide. ارتكبوا الانتحار. Now, let's go back. We are looking for a similarity between the Kejo and the Gaokao. Let's see. Yeah, okay. So maybe here we have the pass rate was less than 5% in the Kejo. And here for the where is the other one? Yeah. So again, we still have small percentage of test takers gain a place at university. So let's come and compare. The number of years each exam has held, the security during the exam, the physical conditions for exam takers, and the low pass rate. And of course, as I said, it's the low pass rate. Okay? Because here, we said in paragraph 3 at the beginning that exam takers sat a 3-day exam locked inside a single cell where they also slept and ate. The pass rate was less than 5%. Okay? And then at the end, since then, it has been held every summer, and each year only a small percentage of test takers gain a place at university. So it's about the low pass rate. And what about 43 and 44? We already read paragraph 4, right? Regarding the content of and rules related to the Gaokao, what does it mention? How long the essay in the Chinese section needs to be? I don't think so. No, that's not mentioned. How many essays a student needs to write? No. How the questions in the science and humanities sections differ? No. How often a student can sit an exam? Yes, we said 1 time, and then another time the student can retake the exam, but after that, خالصين. So they tell us how often, which means how many times a student can enter the exam, and it's mentioned here in paragraph 4. Look, oops. They said here that here, if a student, so look, here there's it's possible to retake the exam 1 year later. But if the student fails the second time, there is no alternative path to university. So only 2 times. If you fail the second time, that's it. You cannot go to university. Now they're asking us about the word rampant in paragraph 5. Let's read the whole thing because they are asking us also about the main idea of paragraph 5. There has been talk of reforming, changing, updating, improving the Gaokao for years, but few revisions have taken place. So there's always, you know, talk about how should they or how they should improve their exam and make changes, but few revisions have been made. This year, top universities interviewed students with high potential at school, but successful students were awarded just a few bonus points. Many want the English paper, difficult for those who don't have access to private education, to be made optional. So many people want to make the English paper optional, yet it continues, but it still continues. Education experts in China generally believe that any major change would be too easily manipulated by the rich. So they think if we make any change, the rich people will make use of that change. If regular school marks were taken into account with exam grades, bribery, which means rashwa, would be even more rampant than it already is. So what does it mean, rampant? For years to come, students' futures will probably continue to be decided by how well each child performs in a closed room for 2 days in early June. So first of all, what is the main idea of paragraph 5? It is not easy to make changes to the Gaokao. The Gaokao gives an unfair advantage to the wealthy families. The Gaokao has helped reduce bribery, and the Gaokao is final week significantly revised. What would you choose, guys? Can we say that the Gaokao is being significantly changed and revised? No, we said few revisions have been made. It helped reduce bribery? No. It gives an unfair advantage to the wealthy families? No. The answer is A. It's not easy to make changes to the Gaokao. That's it. The answer is A. But what about rampant? It means, of course, widespread. The bribery, muntashira, widespread, rampant. So the answer is B. And with these 2 questions, today we are done with the first session of the exam. Tomorrow, inshallah, we are going to discuss the second session, which is about listening and writing an essay. طيب يا جماعة. Yahya, when is your proficiency exam in the university? Do you know the exact date for your exam?
They said 26th of September.
26th of September.
Yeah.
What about you, Hussam?
27th.
27. Good. So let me just check the calendar. '26 and 27. So yeah, great. So we still have 2 more tests that we can do and discuss, so that inshallah you are ready for your exams. So yeah, as I said, that's it for today. I hope that you learned something from today's session. And tomorrow, inshallah, we're going to discuss the second section, which is going to be about listening and writing. Okay? So please make use of your notes that you are taking, learn the new words, and see you tomorrow, inshallah. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.